Hi ladies, welcome to a pretty calm module on getting stuff done. So this module is going to cover procrastination and then one of my favourite things, your MITs, your most important tasks. Okay, so first of all, let's understand a bit about procrastination because I think it gets a bit muddled up sometimes. So procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing a task or a set of tasks. But the thing is, it often gets confused with laziness, but it's a very, very different thing. Procrastination is an active process, so you choose to do something else instead of the task that you know you should be doing, or the one that would be the most helpful to you, or the one you intended to do. In contrast, laziness suggests that you didn't do anything else, that there was an inactivity or you were unwilling to act. Procrastination is fascinating. So just now, before I recorded this, I have done a zillion other jobs before doing this, knowing that my end goal today was to record this video, this module. But I've chosen to do other things that I can convince myself were important. But what I actually did was put them ahead of something that I didn't really enjoy doing. I don't enjoy recording. I love chatting, but recording is something that, I don't enjoy it. So I procrastinated and found other stuff to do until I eventually sat down to do it. But I wasn't lazy. I was doing other active tasks. So procrastination usually involves ignoring an unpleasant, but likely more important task in favour of one that's more enjoyable or easier. Let's try and understand it a little bit. So behavioural psychology research uses a phenomenon called time inconsistency, which helps explain why procrastination seems to pull us in despite our good intentions. Time inconsistency refers to the tendency of the human brain to value immediate rewards more highly than future rewards. So a really good way to understand this is to imagine two selves, two of you. You have your present self and your future self. So when you set goals for yourself, like losing weight or writing a book or learning a language, you're actually making plans for your future self. You're envisaging what you want your life to be like in the future. Researchers have found that when you think about your future self, it's quite easy for your brain to see the value in taking action with long-term benefits. So your future self values the long-term rewards. It gets it. It understands that this is for your greater good almost. However, while your future self can set goals, only your present self can take action. The problem is your present self really, really likes stuff now. It loves instant gratification. It does not enjoy long-term payoff. When it's time to make a decision, you're no longer making a choice for your future self. Now you're in the present moment and your brain is thinking about your present self. So your present self and your future self are often at odds with one another. Your future self wants to be healthy and fit, but your present self wants cake. Your future self wants to retire early, but you currently want a new car or new stationery or 1 million books from Amazon. Just me. And this whole phenomenon is one reason why you might go to bed feeling motivated to make a change in your life, but when you wake up, you find yourself falling back into old patterns. The future self, in an evening, thinks that anything is possible the next day, but when you wake up that morning, your present self is in charge and it doesn't want to do all the things that you planned for with your future self. Okay? You can't rely on long-term consequences and rewards to motivate the present self. So instead, you have to find a way to move future rewards and punishments into the present moment. You have to make future consequences become present consequences. And this is exactly what happens during the moment when we finally move beyond procrastination to take action. So, for example, if you have a report to write for work, or like me recording this module, I've known about it for weeks. You'll write your report for weeks and you continue to put it off day after day. You make up excuses that are valid, but they're excuses. You've made them up to stop you doing what you don't want to do. And while you're doing this, you experience that little bit of nagging pain and anxiety thinking, knowing about this paper you've got to write, this module I've got to record, but there's not enough pain to do anything about it. Then suddenly, the day before it's due, then future consequences turn into present consequences. And you write that report. I recorded this module. The pain of procrastinating finally escalates and you cross the action line. Jodie talks frequently about how she works better when she's up against it. That's not true. It's just the fact that when we are right at that moment, we just get on with it. So it feels like we suddenly get into a flow, as you'll see in a minute. There's something important to note here, that as soon as you cross the action line, the pain begins to go down. In fact, being in the middle of procrastination is often more painful than being in the middle of doing the actual work. And you can see on that chart, look, point A is just higher on that pain scale than point B. The guilt, the shame, the anxiety that you feel while procrastinating are usually worse than the effort and energy you have to put in while you're working. So the problem is not doing the work, the problem is starting the work. Now I've started recording this module, I'm not going to stop to go and procrastinate and do something else. Once I have started, the procrastination disappears, the pain lessens. So, there are some options and different techniques you can use to stop yourself procrastinating right now. So, option 1 is make the rewards of taking action more immediate. So if you can find a way to make the benefits of your long-term future self choices more immediate, then it becomes easier to avoid procrastination. One of the best ways to bring future rewards into the present moment is with a strategy known as temptation bundling. So temptation bundling is a concept that suggests you bundle a behaviour that is good for you in the long run with a behaviour that feels good now. So the basic equation is only do the thing that you love while doing the thing that you procrastinate on. So, for example, you could only listen to specific audiobooks or podcasts that you love while exercising. You don't listen to them at any other time. Or you could, out of lockdown, only get a pedicure while you're answering some work emails on your phone. Or you could only watch your favourite TV show while ironing. This one works beautifully for me. I love ironing while I'm watching TV. But you can bundle a task that is something that you love with something that you procrastinate on. And that is a really, really effective way to get yourself moving. Option 2. So this is kind of the flip side of option 1. So option 1 is make the rewards of taking action immediate. This is make the consequences of procrastination more immediate. And there are loads of ways that can force you to pay the costs of procrastination sooner rather than later. So for example, and this one works for me when I go for walks with Louisa, our skincare expert. If you're exercising alone, skipping your workout next week won't impact your life much at all. Your health won't deteriorate immediately because you missed that one workout. So the cost of procrastinating on something like exercise only becomes painful after weeks or months of lazy, in inverted commas, behaviour. But if you commit to meeting a friend to work out at 7 on a Thursday morning, then the cost of skipping your workout becomes more immediate. If you miss this one workout, you let someone down. Really, really, really useful way of ensuring you carry through on a promise. I'm never going to go for that walk in the morning by myself, but if I'm meeting someone, I absolutely will. Okay. Option 3 is design your future actions. So this is a great tool that psychologists use to overcome procrastination, and it's called a commitment device. So a commitment device can help you stop procrastinating by designing your future actions ahead of time. So for example, if you want to curb your future eating habits, buy mini bars of chocolate rather than sharing sizes. If you want to stop wasting time on your phone, delete games or social media apps. You could build your savings account by setting up an automatic transfer of funds. These are all examples of commitment devices that reduce the odds of procrastination. I deleted Facebook off my phone as a test for a little while, and I was astounded how many times I reached for my phone and how quickly I adapted to it not being there and how much more time I had. So yeah, you get to design your future actions and you get to choose that. Option 4 is make the task more achievable. So as we've already covered, the friction that causes procrastination is usually centred around starting that behaviour. Once you begin it, it's often less painful to keep working. That's one really good reason that to start a new habit, you should start a small habit. So reduce the size of your habits. If your habits are small and easy to start, then you're less likely to procrastinate. So a good way to make this easier is to use the 2-minute rule, which just states that when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. So if you want to start meditation, you start off just doing 2 minutes of quiet breathing. Any habit should take less than 2 minutes to do. The idea is to make it as easy as possible to get started and then trust that the momentum will carry you further into the task after you begin. Because once you start to something, it is easier to continue to do it. The 2-minute rule overcomes procrastination and laziness by making it so easy to start taking action that you can't say no. Another really good rule to follow is Mel Robbins does the 5-second rule, and she counts backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. So whenever she's putting off something, she will count backwards, and psychologically in our head, it makes us more likely to do something than just deciding, I'll do that in a minute. And another great way to make tasks more achievable, and I'm so for this one, is to break them down. So for example, if you want to start writing a book, say, instead of measuring your progress based on completion of chapters, measure your progress in 15-minute increments. So set a goal of, say, I don't know how fast to write a book, 250 words every 15 minutes, and continue this pattern. You achieve the goal every single 15 minutes. Our brains, our present self really likes achieving a goal every 15 minutes. Then you just continue that pattern for as long as you want to. So if you want to write for an hour, you say, I'm going to write 250 words every 15 minutes, and I'm going to do it 4 times. That is how you build on this stuff. Making your tasks more achievable is important for 2 reasons. So small measures of progress help to maintain momentum over the long run, which means you're more likely to finish large tasks. And also, the faster you complete a productive task, the more quickly your day develops an attitude of productivity and effectiveness. And that second point, the speed with which you complete your first task of the day, is particularly important. I've found this over and over again. This is so important for overcoming procrastination and continuing to be productive day after day. There are loads of business books, there's tons of research on doing the nasty stuff, the stuff you don't want to do, the stuff you would procrastinate on, doing that first. Because it's almost like the rest of your day gets lighter and you are already feeling rewarded for doing something, so you want to naturally do more. Okay, I have my own form of how I overcome procrastination, and you'll see lots and lots of women in our group talking about this. You will hear them talking about, have you done your mitts today? So, your mitts are your most important tasks, and these are literally the secret sauce for overcoming procrastination and getting on with things. And actually, as I was doing this, there's a bit of a rule that I haven't written down here, but I'm just going to tell you about first and why this works. Ideally, I want you to write down your mitts, which I'll explain in a minute, in an evening. I want you to write down your mitts the night before. All that stuff we talked about earlier about future self and present self comes into play here. So at night, your future self is in planning. It is thinking what can happen tomorrow. It's thinking what you could achieve tomorrow. If you write down your mitts in the morning, your present self is in charge, and your present self doesn't want to do the stuff, potentially, that your future self would have wanted it to. So where you can, write down your mitts at night. And then the only job you need to do in the morning is commit to following them through. So to set mitts, there are some certain rules. So rule 1, have a list of no more than 10 things to do every day. Now, if your to-do lists are like mine, I absolutely understand that 10 things might seem too small some days. I kind of always have a bit of a master list knocking around in my diary, but every day I use the daily planner and I'll scribble down my 10 things that I'm going to do each day. These must include 3 mitts and up to 7 others. So your 3 mitts are your 3 most important tasks that you need to achieve that day, or that you want to achieve that day. Rule 2 is that all of your tasks, all the 10 of them, but all of your tasks must be 30 minutes or less. This is really, really important because as we've already demonstrated, we really struggle to start things, and we certainly struggle to start things that seem too big. A great example of this one, I talk about this all the time, is I needed to clear my son's wardrobe out, so he's 6, and I know that there was still some age 4 clothes in there. And my other son's 4 now, so ideally I want to shift them into his wardrobe, but usually they go up in the attic in between. But I'd not got round to this, because every single time I opened that wardrobe door, it felt overwhelming, it felt too big, and I'd just close it again. And then one Saturday morning, I put it on my mitts that I would spend 30 minutes clearing his wardrobe out. The mitts is a commitment to myself, so I knew I would achieve that. But the thing is, once I opened the wardrobe and broke the back of it, you just carry on. You just want to get through it because the pain level has subsided so significantly once you have started. But making your task 30 minutes or less moves it from being a huge unstartable thing to just a quick task, a quick tick off. If I want to stop after 30 minutes, that is completely fine. I can add it to a mitt a different day. But the likelihood is, once you have started, the pain drops so significantly that you are happy to carry on. Okay, rule 3 is that you can't do any of the 7 other tasks until you've done the mitts. Those 7 tasks are prime procrastination areas because you can justify them because they're still on your list. You still want to achieve these things. They're likely far less important, far less brain taxing. I want to say far more fun, but I don't know if I really mean that. But they are probably like weirdly pleasing tasks like cleaning out your email inbox. That's not achieving anything productive for you that day. It's a great thing to do, but it's certainly not a mitt. It's the idea that when you've done your mitts, you are free to do whatever the heck else you want, but you cannot use your other 7 tasks to stop you doing your mitts because that's just a different form of procrastination. So the other tasks come after. Rule 4, cross through your tasks when you're done. This is super important psychologically. We let go of things far more easily if we cross them out. So don't put nice little neat check marks next to your tasks. Scribble them out. Cross through them when you're done. It's got a much better impact on your brain. And then when you have done, because our present self loves instant gratification, when you've done your 3 mitts, you can reward yourself. You don't have to have done all your 10 tasks, but those 3 mitts. And that can be whatever it is that makes you feel happy. So just a quiet cup of tea will do me sometimes, or maybe like a secret whisper, or twirl, or any kind of chocolate. But choose something that fits with your future self, and choose something that makes you feel like you have earned it almost. Okay, so alongside this module, there is a daily planner. I laminate mine and use a dry white marker, and I write my mitts on there every single day. You can download it at the bottom or next to this module, wherever it shows on the website. If you want to share your mitts in the group, so you've got some accountability, come in there and share them. I absolutely love to see what everyone else is up to. So I hope it's been super helpful, and I will talk to you all soon.